and gentlemen, welcome to the GT Ukraine YouTube channel. As always, it's the last met, and we're once again welcoming you to another broadcast from the Asselit Design Endurance Championship. This is Season 1. Number 7. We are approaching the very end of the championship now, just 2 races to go, and we're welcoming you from, well, I wanted to say sunny Brazil, but it's actually quite late in the evening, so a somewhat more dark Brazil, and I apologize if you're getting a lot of sound at the moment. This is a little frustrating because I thought the sound was not supposed to play. Oh my god, and now it vanishes. Okay, give me a moment here as I look into my options just to make sure that it's off. Menu BGM is off. The sound effects, okay. Replay BGM, let's turn this off just to make sure. Other BGM, yeah, sure, make that 0. Okay, I'm hoping this is good now. Yep, no background music now. Apologies for that one. So, it's round number 7. We are once again in the Group 3s. This is the cars that we started the championship with 7 races ago. That was quite a while ago. We're in practice once again. There is some time still to go before qualifying begins. So, let's take the opportunity to remind ourselves of the situation in the championship and understand the stakes as our drivers head into the penultimate race of the season. Right, so in P12 now in the championship, because we lost one of our competitors, H-Boss retired before he could complete the championship. In P12 is GTO 250 from Team Motion Blur Yellow. He'll be racing the Renault tonight. And for GTO, oh, this is important. This is race number 7, so it means that technically all of our drivers already have the 6 results that will make up their final tally. However, with the to try and improve which exact 6 results will go into, will contribute to their final points result. For GTO, the situation is that he missed one of the previous races, so his current worst result is a simple no score, a 0. So as long as he can improve on that, as long as he can improve on that, he will be making himself a favor in the championship. Right now he sits at 80 points, so whatever he can score today is going to be better than that probably, and GTO is looking to improve his standings a little bit. He's P12, 80 points, racing the Renault tonight. Then in 11th is Mark GT, and I'm just checking. It seems that he is one of the drivers who will not be participating today. We have a significantly diminished number of participants. Instead of the expected 12, we only have 9 racers on the track tonight. Unfortunately, it seems that Mark GT was one of those who will not be participating tonight. We move on to Vladyslav, Team Motion Blur Orange. He's also in the Renault, just like GTO 250. For Vladyslav, the task today is to try and improve on a P10. That's his worst result at the moment, so as long as he can score better than 10th, which he will because we only have 9 people on track, he will be improving his standings in the championship. He's in P10 on 196 points. Right, we move on to Luco, who's in P9, and I can see Luco is not out on track today, so once again, one more person who is not participating. Luco is P9 in the championship, 216 points. His worst result is a top 10 finish as well, just like Vladyslav, so he's not losing out on too much by not participating today, but if he had participated, he would have had a very decent chance of improving his worst result. Now, in P8 is Gadget, and Gadget is also enjoying a bit of leave, a bit of vacation, so he won't be racing tonight. He's on 216 points in the championship, just like Luko, and Gadget's worst result is a 13th finish. So, once again, it would make sense for him to actually show up, try and improve on that, and increase his points tally. Right, next in P7 in the championship is Vox Bacchus, and I'm pretty sure I saw him. Yes, there he is. Vox Bacchus in the Genesis tonight, Group 3. He's from Draig Goch Alpha. He sits with 128 points in the championship. Pretty strong results, by the way, from Flapjack. He has been fourth for Vox Bacchus. Fourth 4 times, so that's how close he has been to scoring a podium, but he hasn't had one yet. Perhaps today will be his breakthrough. He's also been 11th once, but his worst personal result is a no score because he missed a round. So as long as Vox can just get this car to the finish line tonight, he will be improving on his points tally. That's 228 points for Vox Bacchus. He's in P7 in the championship. P6 is tonight's host, Flapjack, also in the Genesis. Flapjack has 240 points to his name, and his worst result is a 10th place, which he scored 3 times. So again, he is up to improve his result here today. Last time out in the Group 2s on High Speed Ring, Flapjack scored a pretty momentous 2nd place, his best result of the season, so he'll be in good form and in good spirits, I'm sure, to try and repeat that tonight. That's Flapjack in P6 in the championship on 240 points. Right, we move to the top 5, and in 5th we have Funniest Cowboy, our promoted Tier 2 champion from last season. Funniest Cowboy has 276 points, and he's had a very up and down season. He's been 2nd, he's been 6th, he's been 7th, but his 2 worst results are 11th and 12th. So once again, as long as Funniest Cowboy gets it over the line today, he will be improving on his worst results and contributing more points to his tally. And he's locked in a 3-way fight for 3rd in the championship with his teammate Teovo. And they happen to be very close on the track at the moment. Teovo has got 280 points. His worst result is P11. So it's everything to fight for between the 2 Finns, as well as our compatriot Lens from GT Ukraine. He sits on 284 points, just 4 more than Teovo, 8 more than Funniest Cowboy. So between the 3, who happen to be using the same car tonight, the Volkswagen Beetle, it's all to play for. For Lenz, his worst result is also a top 10, so he is set to improve as qualifying is about to begin. Practice is over. It's time to get going. We have 2 more people in the championship rundown, and I'm going to mention them just as our competitors are rolling out on track. Not participating tonight is Cartman, also from GT Ukraine. He's in P2. He's got 464 points. His worst all that much by not racing tonight, and in P1, and at this point it's pretty clear that he's going to become champion, is JiiRabbit. 556 points, 5 wins to his name so far. His worst result is P5 last time out, so if he can finish higher than P5 tonight, he will be improving. Right, and that's your rundown. We can go back on track, and unlike before with Gadget, who always leads the pack, tonight's host, Flapjack, decides to let a few cars go, so he will not be the first person to start a flying lap. The first flying lap will come from Vox Bacchus, and as usual, we'll be joining him on board for a tour of Interlagos. We're in Brazil, an iconic track, of course. Interlagos, host to so many memorable races in Formula One and other series as well. Let's not be Formula One centric. Traditionally, not the easiest place to overtake, so qualifying will mean something tonight as we go on board with Vox Bacchus to start a flying lap. So we're barreling down the main straight, spot that braking point. It's a difficult braking zone, this one, as you're approaching the CNRSs, threaded through the apexes. That was quite nice, but I would say conservative from Vox Bacchus. Now feed it through the long left-hander as we're going down the back straight now towards the end of the first sector. This is going to be an important braking point. Spot your braking marker. Vox Bacchus brakes before the 50 board, and he tries to feed it into the left-hander. That car didn't want to go, but he kept it within the line, so no track limit penalties here. Now the Faro Doer, the horseshoe, down 2 gears, and again he's having to be careful. The Genesis is not an easy car to turn in as he dabs a wheel onto the grass. That's okay here. That won't be a penalty. He's down into second, it's down to first, now into second, and just a couple of corners left now to navigate. Again, a difficult one as this car takes a long time to rotate. Now, is he flat out through this one? No, he needs to lift through the left-hander. And just one more corner effectively left. Oh, and he misses the apex. Unfortunate for Vox Bacchus. And now it's just a big acceleration zone all the way back to the finish line. Let's see what it's going to be for Vox Bacchus in terms of time. What's going to be the marker that everyone else will try to beat? As he is across the line, it's a 1:32.2. GTO posts a 32.3, so very close between the two of them. Teovo is in with a 32.3 as well, so he splits the two previous finishers. Lenz is in with a 32 flat. Then comes Flapjack with a 32.9. He's in P6. And Mark GT rolls across the line in his Audi. It's a 33.6 for him. Vlad posts a 33 flat. And it's just JiiRabbit who is now rounding out the final corners, and he will complete the first set of runs. What is it going to be for the champion in waiting? Effectively, JiiRabbit takes pole provisionally with a 1:31.6. That's a commanding performance from JiiRabbit, almost 2.5 tenths faster than Funniest Cowboy in second place. Thanks to everyone who is dropping messages in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me well, if you're enjoying yourselves. We're in for a good evening of racing, as always is the case in the Asolid Design Endurance Championship. Don't forget to drop a like. It really helps us. And if you feel like donating and supporting your favorite commentator, the link is in the description. Right, let's find the people who are crossing the line now. It's Vox Bacchus again, as he improves to a 31.9. Good job by Vox Bacchus. He's in P3 now, provisionally. GTO and Teovo are in the pits, so they don't want to complete another run, while Funniest Cowboy does, and he propels himself to a provisional pole, and it's a 31.3. Again, he beats JiiRabbit, just like JiiRabbit beat him before, by almost 3 tenths now, so good job there by the Finn. Vlad crosses the line to take 7th with a 32.8, and once again it's JiiRabbit who completes this set of runs. And is he going to respond? No, he dives into the pits. So that completes sort of the first round of runs. I don't think Funniest Cowboy is going to have the tires really to try and challenge once again. So I assume he's going to dive into the pits. And yeah, here we have the gaffer checking in from the departure lounge. Hey, good to hear from you, man. We're doing okay. It's fewer participants this time out, and we're really missing you, but trying to have still a very good time. Right, so that was our first set of runs, I guess, unless someone is is feeling very adventurous. Let's see what Vox is up to. Yeah, he dives into the pits, predictably. So qualifying is 15 minutes long. We are now 6 minutes down. Now is probably a good time to dive into the pits, get a new fresh set of softs, and then give it another go. JiiRabbit is already on an outlap, but he is sort of at the tail end of the field. Let's find who leads the field at the moment. It's Vlad, but I would expect him to dive into the pits. That's correct. Teovo is right behind him on an outlap, as is GTO. So effectively, GTO is now the first car to try and set a better time, and for lack of a better thing to do, let's go on board with GTO. He's in the Renault, a mid-engine car, so I would assume a little more control than the front engines, the Genesis, for example. Let's see what the split is like for GTO. Now he's up on his personal best. It's just 0.02 of a second, but every little bit matters. So as long as he can get this to the line. By the way, GTO is in a good position. P6, I remind you, the current worst result he needs to beat is just a no-show at 0 points. So with this sort of pace, he's set for a good result. That was a bit of a heading for the grass. He's doing a good job through the technical section. That's a little too wide, I would say. He doesn't clip the curb on the inside as you would want him to. Rounds out this fast left-hander. Oh, and he's now down on his best time by 1/4 of a second. So pretty unfortunate there for GTO. I wouldn't expect that he will be improving on his current time, but let's stay with him nonetheless. Following him is Teovo. Oh, and GTO dives into the pits. Probably wants to get another fresh set of softs to give it one final hurrah. Teovo improves to a 32.222. Very nice one from him, and there are no improvements behind him. Flapjack improves, but stays 8th. He's now on a 32.8. No, but that Genesis, it really wasn't made for this kind of track, if you don't mind my saying so. Mark GT also improves, but stays 9th, some 2 seconds away from provisional pole. I'm surprised. I would think the Audi should do relatively well here, being mid-engine and everything. Oh, and JiiRabbit improves, and he's now 0.02 of a second away from Funniest Cowboy, his compatriot. So it's once again shaping up to be a battle between the reigning and probably de facto champion in Tier 1, JiiRabbit, and the promoted champion from Tier 2, Funniest Cowboy, as JiiRabbit was on a personal best and on track for provisional pole. Let's stay with him and see how he does. Let's even go on board. What does this look like from JiiRabbit's point of view? He shifts down to first. That's aggressive but legitimate. Vox Bacchus improves to a 31.777. It seems that we like those kinds of numbers tonight. Teovo is on a 31.9. Ooh, and Funniest Cowboy finds another improvement to put himself again almost 0.2 away from JiiRabbit. So suddenly JiiRabbit needs to find more time, but he is finding it. Can he feed it well through the final corner? That was clean as you can get. I think JiiRabbit will be on course for an improvement unless the Beetle that Funniest Cowboy is driving is just that much better on acceleration and straight line speed. He is hugging the inside as JiiRabbit. Is this going to be pole? Yes, it is the emphatic answer. 131.1. It's almost 0.05 of a second now in JiiRabbit's favor as the clock ticks over 10 minutes, so less than 5 minutes to go. JiiRabbit will need to think about probably diving into the pits, changing over to a new set of softs, and then giving it one final go, as Lens is currently in P5, not quite making the sort of impression that you would expect from Lens. And kudos to Vox Bacchus, 4 times P4 in the previous rounds, but currently looking set, at least, to score P3 in qualifying. So let's not jinx it for Vox Bacchus. He's doing a good job at the moment. Almost more than half a second away, though, from Funniest Cowboy. So the two Finns of JiiRabbit and Funniest Cowboy are in a bit of a league of their own. And then Vox Bacchus is 2/10 clear of Teuvo and the only non-Finnish driver in the top 4. Teuvo is now in the pits. Vox, he probably still has time to complete this lap, change over to a set of softs. How long is the lap here? It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1.5 minutes. He still has 3 minutes right now, so he'll be good. But he will need to push on that outlap to get to the line in time to start a lap. Right, we see multiple drivers in the pits now, changing over to the final fresh set of softs. Lens is already on a flyer, so let's join him and see how he does. What's his first split going to be? He's down on his personal best, but it's only 6/100ths of a second, so it can still come back to him. A lot of this track is still ahead of him, as behind Flapjack I had the moment to notice that he scored a penalty. He's not helping himself as Lens is drifting that Beetle through the technical section. I'm not sure that's the fastest way around, but certainly the most stylish one, as he is trying to find a bit of extra time. Just 0.5 between him and Teuvo in P4, so Lens would need a minuscule improvement, and he finds it, but wasn't that track limits? Let's see if he gets a penalty, and probably dirty tires is what he's experiencing at the moment. So I'm not sure this is going to be a great result for Lens. He will have time for one more attempt, although that front right is not looking great, so he would have wished that this lap be good, but it isn't. He's 8/1000ths of a second down on his personal best. What is Teuvo ahead of him doing? Teuvo is on a flyer right now. Will he respond, and will he put himself even further away from Lens? Oh boy, is he putting himself further away. He's on course for provisional pole as he gets out of shape a little bit, so he would have lost a bit of time there. Provisional pole is 8/10ths away from Teuvo's current personal best, so he is on a proper flyer. Obviously, fuel has burned, so these cars are as light as they have ever been in this qualifying session, and it's all to play for. Teuvo is threading the needle through the middle sector, the most technical part of this track, which in its entirety is not an easy one to drive. This is not your old Monza or whatever. You've got some proper turns here that you have to think about. Teuvo is up on his personal best, but nowhere near challenging for pole at the end of Sector 2. Oh, that was a juicy exit. You got to give it. You got to give credit where credit is due. That was a great exit from Teuvo from the last corner. So he will be putting himself away from Lens and possibly challenging Vox Bacchus for third. Let's see what it is at the line. Yes, it is provisional third position on the 31.6 for Teuvo, and he still manages to start another lap. That's incredible. Lens is now done with qualifying. Yep, he's no longer on a flyer. What is Flapjack going to do? No improvement for him. He stays 8th. Who's that crossing the line? It's Vlad, and he stays 7th. Oh, this is very convenient. GTO now in 6th, improves to P5, demoting Lens. And what is JiiRabbit going to do? No improvement for JiiRabbit in the end. Funniest Cowboy is no longer running. Vox isn't. GTO isn't. I think that's it. That's the end of qualifying. We will have to wait until the timer reaches 18 minutes because we have a person in the pits. That's Mark GT. So that was our eventful qualifying session. So in the end, the three Finns of JiiRabbit, Funniest Cowboy, and Teovo lock out the top three. And Vox Bacchus, contrary to what Steve wrote us in the chat, is demoted to P4, although he would have liked that P3, wouldn't he? Lens is only in P6, and this is interesting. Lens is in a championship battle with Teovo and with Funniest Cowboy, and they are starting seriously ahead of him. Funniest Cowboy is on row 1, row 2, and then Lens is in P6 all the way back in row 3 on the starting grid. So he'll need to think strategy, he'll need to hope for a good opening lap as the qualifying session actually ends there. So let's have a quick look at the official results. It's JiiRabbit from Funniest Cowboy from Teovo. It's just less than half of a tenth between JiiRabbit and Funniest Cowboy. Funniest Cowboy really gave the defending champion a run for his money. Behind them, it's Vox Bacchus in P4, GTO with a very good result, his best qualifying result of the season. I'm confident of that in P5. Lens with a bit of an underwhelming performance in P6. Then it's Flive and Flapjack, and rounding out the 9 competitors we have today is Mark GT in P9 in his Audi. Yeah, good comment, by the way, Steve. Yeah, the Renault might prove itself as a better race car. So, JiiRabbit drove very well in the first race of the season when we started in the Group 3s. He was dominant back there. They had a tantalizing fight with Cartman, but it was all a little academic because ultimately they were on different strategies. By the way, that gives me an opportunity to talk strategy today. I've heard from the drivers that there is a wealth of options on offer. You can do a one-stop on hards. You can play with 2 stops. If your car is really good with conserving its tires, you might even think about using the soft. Although, from what we've seen in qualifying, it kind of stopped being a good tire after 3 laps out on track, so I wouldn't expect the softs tonight. Anyway, we're in for a tantalizing perspective. I'm just checking. Yep, the race is going to start at 12 minutes past the hour. That gives us another 3 minutes before lights out. So you have time to grab your snack or beverage of preference, and we'll be getting going very, very soon. Oh, what a season it would be for JiiRabbit. If he could win today, that would put him on 6 wins. So his final tally would consist of a perfect run, 6 wins. Not in a row anymore. Cartman took the win last time out, breaking JiiRabbit's fabulous unbroken streak. But the champion this season at least has shown his hand. JiiRabbit has been untouchable. You cannot say that all of his wins came easily. JiiRabbit had to fight for it, and he was challenged, but somehow he has had the upper hand every single time, except for that one race on High Speed Ring. But let's be real, High Speed Ring is such a special track, such an unusual arrangement there. And also with the change in BOP, it was clear that the NSX was a way more dominant machine than we all would have wanted for some good, clean, on-track action. Right, still a minute to go until the race starts. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment in the chat, participate. I'm reading these. I'm seeing what you're writing. Steve says he's sorry to be missing this race, as the Renault gave him easily his best race this season. Exactly. Gadget has his best result of a top 3 coming from the first race of the season, which was run in these exact cars, the Group 3. Although it was partially because of strategy, Gadget. You did really well back then with your call to switch to the intermediates and not brave it out on the slicks. So yeah, unfortunate that you're missing this one, but I would say, yeah, as we get to the very end of the season, the mood is a little different, and we are seeing a few absentees tonight. As there goes the countdown, we are ready to go racing. 60 minutes of racing at Interlagos in Brazil. Let me just bring up the overlay for us so we can have all the juicy details. JiiRabbit is on the mediums. It seems that everybody, yes, the whole grid is on the mediums, so no divergence in strategy. There go the lights, 5 red lights. And we're off. JiiRabbit seems to get a good start, but Funniest Cowboy bogs down a little bit. I wonder if he's going to be challenged by Teovo, but Teovo is on the outside, so Funniest Cowboy will probably be able to defend. Vox is sandwiched there between Teovo and GTO, but it's all very nice. GTO gets a little squirmish on the exit, and there's Lenz on the outside. There he is in the shot, right next to GTO. They're side by side, and Lenz is nominally in P5 now, but GTO is on the inside, and there's Flapjack also looking for a move, and oh, that's a lot of contact between Flapjack and Lenz. I wonder if there's any damage. No, Lenz's car, and Flapjack's for that matter, are miraculously both perfectly intact, so they continue as they were. Just a bit of a scare for the two drivers, as I wonder if Flapjack was just surprised with the speed that he was able to develop in the slipstream, but it's all good. At the front, it's JiiRabbit from Funniest Cowboy from Teovo, as they were at the start. Vox Bacchus is in 4th, GTO now 5th, and Lenz is in 6th. Then, Vladyslav seems to have dived up the inside of Flapjack for P7. We're going to have a look at a replay in just a moment, as soon as I'm sure that this juicy battle is over. Flapjack's Genesis should be pretty rapid on the straight, so as long as he can get a good exit out of the final corner, which I think he did, he should be able to challenge Vladyslav into the first corner, into the center S, and there he goes. The slipstream is pulling him up. He's now only 3 tenths behind, 2 tenths behind, 1.5 tenths behind. Will he go for the move, or will he? Yes, he will! He dives up the inside, and that's a good move, actually. Vladyslav is still there. Oh, they make contact on the apex, but I think Vladyslav is doing the sensible thing and kind of letting Flapjack go, because it was Flapjack's position at that point in time. And now Vladyslav is immediately under attack from Mark. He can't catch a break, can he, in these first couple of corners? But Vladyslav, I feel he might have overcooked it a little. Oh no, was that contact? Flapjack's rear bumper is damaged, so I'm afraid that might have been contact. Let's look at this from on board with Vladyslav. He kind of dives up the inside, and what is Flapjack? Ooh, that's a weird little one. What was happening? Like, Flapjack seemed to have been slowing down, and there was no immediate, like, visible contact, but cars don't just flip like that, and he's got a damaged rear bumper, so I assume on his screen there must have been a bit of damage, and that's super unfortunate. This is something that the stewards might have to look into, as Flapjack now limps back probably towards the pits. There's no point circling around with a broken rear bumper, and that's the first casualty of tonight's race. Right, at the front, it's JiiRabbit from Funniest Cowboy, and they are fighting. They are not just pedantically driving around. Funniest Cowboy is trying to put the championship leader under pressure. Behind them, it's the couple of Vox Bacchus and Teovo, and Vox Bacchus has somehow found a way past Teovo. We have not seen it, and I'm not sure that looking for a replay will help us at this point, but Vox Bacchus is now in P3. Great work from him. I hope it was all clean, of course, but he will have Oh wait, what has Vox Bacchus done? I've only now noticed. Look at that. He's done the Frankenstein, the mixed tire strategy. His rears are softs and his fronts are mediums. Wow, it's been a while since I've seen anyone do this. Back in the old days, like a year ago, we used to experiment with this in the domestic championship we had for Ukrainian drivers, but it's so rare to see this. But I can see the logic. The Genesis is front engine, so it's the front that's heavy, and the front wheels, the front tires must wear out pretty quickly. And Vox probably thought that, well, they'll go anyway, so I might as well throw the softs on the rear and get a bit of extra grip early on in the race. But obviously this will put him in a bit of a compromised position as Tailway is staying close, and he will be able to take go. Right, as I expected, Lenz is staying close with GTO. Just to remind you, GTO at the moment is last in the championship. He's in P12. Lenz is in a battle for P3 in the standings. So for Lenz, this is about clearing GTO as quickly as he can, and he hopefully can, and then getting close to Teovo, who is his direct competitor. But for now, GTO is doing a great job defending Admiral. I mean, I wouldn't even say he's defending necessarily, he's just driving. Lenz is not at attacking distance as, ooh, we've seen that from Lenz in qualifying already. He likes to drift the car through the Ferrodura, through the horseshoe corner, and I'm not sure that's the most optimal way to handle that. Behind him, Vladyslav has now established himself in 7th, Mark is in 8th, and Flapjack is still circulating with that broken rear. He is 17 seconds behind the leader and 4 seconds behind Mark GT in P8. Right, I see people joining, supporting the Finlanders. Thank you. Oh, and a bit of positive feedback on the job the commentator is doing. Always a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much. I'm happy you're enjoying this, as we've got some spicy racing. 53 minutes to go, so there's a hell of a lot of racing to go before this is done. And JiiRabbit and Funniest Cowboy are just disappearing into the distance. And look how close Funniest Cowboy is to JiiRabbit. He's literally breathing down JiiRabbit's back. Can I look behind? Yeah, there he goes. He's sniffing for that overtake, and JiiRabbit actually goes defensive into the horseshoe, and oh, there's almost contact. Funniest Cowboy almost gives JiiRabbit a little love tap, and he's there. He's on him every single apex. They are driving bumper to bumper. There's nothing between them. Here in this little section, it seems that Funniest Cowboy has dropped back a little bit, and JiiRabbit pulls away by that much. And I'm wondering how close Funniest Cowboy can get by the time they drive out onto the main straight. Like, he dives up towards the apex, but the acceleration on the Renault looks good. Yeah, it looks good, and Funniest Cowboy is actually nowhere near to challenging for the lead. So that seems to be the game they're playing at the moment. Funniest Cowboy gets close in the technical section, but JiiRabbit doesn't mind it because you can't make a move there. But where it matters, Funniest Cowboy is a little further behind. Let's look at tires. Well, for JiiRabbit, the rears are wearing out a little bit more. On Funniest Cowboy, the fronts are exactly the same, but the rears are a little better. Vox, well, it's bad news for Vox Bacchus, isn't it? His rears are going away faster than the fronts, and at this kind of rate, I mean, he's already down to about 50% of useful life on the rear right, and it can probably get him to around lap 10 or 11, but then he will need to pit. Teovo is staying close. He's just playing the long game, waiting until Bacchus's tires wear out. GTO still doing absolutely fine. Lenz is on him in a fashion that's very similar to the battle between Funniest Cowboy and JiiRabbit, but this is not the part of the track where you can overtake, and then the Renault has some great initial acceleration. Yes, just exactly as Gadget is letting us know in the chat. The Renault has good initial acceleration, then the top end is better on the Beetle, but it doesn't matter all that much. This is a long straight, but when you're 6/10 behind, you won't be close enough by the time you reach turn 1. How are people behind doing? Blythe is in P7 and in a bit of no man's land now. Mark GT is just circulating in P8, and Flapjack is actually reeling him in, even with his broken rear wing, which goes to show that Flapjack probably would have had some good pace in this race if it weren't for that unfortunate incident early on. Right, how's JiiRabbit and Funniest Cowboy doing? Still the same as they were, just driving in a bit of a couple, and now I'm noticing a difference in tire wear. Funniest Cowboy's front right is just starting to look a little worse than JiiRabbit's. It's nothing dramatic at the moment, but as the stint progresses, it's gonna accumulate, so probably Funniest Cowboy's front right will wear out a little sooner. How is Vox Bacchus doing? Oh, no. Tires are in poor shape, and he has found the track limits somewhere. Just a 0.5 second penalty, but this will demote him to P4 as he brakes at the line, and I'm wondering how close GTO will get to him. This is what it looks like from the bonnet of GTO's car, and I think Vox Bacchus is going to be fine in that sense. Yeah, he's fine. He keeps P4, but it's sort of going downhill for Vox Bacchus at this moment. He just needs to stick it out, brave it out on those dying softs, get to whatever his target lap is for pitting, and then move on to the next stage of his strategy. Lenz is still in P6. He's close. I mean, he can see 3 cars in front of him, so P3 is within visual distance, but getting to it is a whole different story. This Beetle doesn't seem particularly keen on turning for Lenz. I wonder if it's a matter of setup. I wonder if there's something in the way Lenz set his car up for this race, but it's reluctant to turn. It feels, at least visually, that way. I've been spending my week this week in Daily B, driving the BMW Group 3, and compared to this, that feels like it turns a little more, but maybe it's just when you're not driving the car, then it all starts looking a little different. So for now, it's as they were. Vox is losing by a little bit to Teobo. It's nothing dramatic. He's 1.2 seconds behind. GTO is not quite on his rear bumper, but you get the sense that Vox is not the fastest in this group, let's put it that way. So I think a pit stop is imminent. I mean, that rear right is really not looking good anymore for Vox Bacchus. He's doing a good time in Sector 1, just a mere 10th down on his personal best, which is a 33.3, some 2 seconds away from what we saw in qualifying. But still, this is looking okay for Vox Bacchus, as long as he doesn't make any unnecessary mistakes, or as long as he doesn't let Teobo run away too far. I think this can be a good result, but that car is not handling all that well anymore. And what's perhaps the worst thing is that these Group 3 cars, they're all rear-wheel drive, so they really depend on traction to accelerate, and that's where Vox will be experiencing difficulty, putting the power down, accelerating out of corners, and you can see how this car refuses to turn, and if it refuses to accelerate, that just leaves him vulnerable to attack. I wonder if is he pitting? No, he stays out for another lap. Let's go on board with GTO. Well, this still isn't attacking distance, so in that sense, it's good news for Vox Bacchus. Let's go back to our leaders and check in on them, and the battle, for now, seems to have paused, as Funniest Cowboy is just around a second away from JiiRabbit. He seems to have had a much better exit out of the center S's, because that gap was coming down rapidly, but for now, it's as they were. For JiiRabbit, the rears are definitely looking a little worse. For Cowboy, it's the fronts. Everything correlates with the engine placement in these cars. Front engine for Funniest Cowboy, rear engine for JiiRabbit. I hope. The Beetle is front engine, isn't it? Teovo is in P3 now, kind of trying to put some distance between himself and Vox Bacchus. That's his most pressing, immediate objective, and Vox is just hanging on to it. I imagine this cannot be a comfortable drive for Vox at the moment, but he's managing it admirably, except for that one 0.5 second time penalty. He hasn't had any penalties, he hasn't made any glaring mistakes, although that acceleration was not particularly good, so GTO will be in his slipstream, he will be catching, and Vox stays out for another lap. He really insists. Meanwhile, Lenz, oh, how did I miss this? He's side by side. He pulls past GTO, but GTO's on the inside. He does not put his nose in there, and that's how Lenz clears GTO 250 for P5. While I was so focused on Vox Bacchus and whether he's going to be under attack, Lenz seems to have found the best exit of them all out of the final corner, and he's able to power past GTO on the main straight. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a counter-attack, so let's have a look at this once again as he just slipstream. He gets the double slipstream, both from Vox and from GTO, and he is able to get this done. And then in good news for Lenz, GTO just chooses not to counterattack, although someone with such a short temper as me might have thought that a counter move is on offer, and now Lenz is side by side with Vox. Vox is on the inside, and his car doesn't turn very well, so I'm not sure if this was a clever idea from Lenz. What are you doing, mate? Let it go! Lenz is in a compromised position now behind Vox, and GTO will be thinking about taking his position back. There's a bit of lag involved, and the cars seem to have been moving a little weird. Lenz is now nominally in P4. Vox is on the outside, and I'm wondering if Vox is letting them go because he is finally planning to pit. Yes, that is exactly what's happening here. Vox is in the pits, but how is GTO faring against Lenz? They are barreling down the main straight. There is space on the outside for GTO to fit his car. He tries to accelerate and get the better exit, but it's a little difficult. There's not enough space there. Now he's firmly in the slipstream, less than 0.2 of a second between them. Will he be able to pull close to Lenz? Will he be challenging him into the next corner? This is a tricky place to overtake, and he's a little too far. He chooses not to go for it, and that's probably the sensible choice, but Lenz overshoots it, and GTO comes back and takes the position. Wow, that was a bit of a ping-pong battle, and GTO comes out on top. Incredible fighting here for P4 in the race as it stands. There's also Vox Bacchus involved in this picture, so he might actually clear them all using the undercut, but very dramatic fighting from Lenz and GTO. Incredible stuff. And before they reach the main straight and go at it again. Let's have a look at the replay. So GTO decides not to attack, but Lenz sort of has a lot of momentum, so he carries it into the corner, overshoots it a little, and that opens the door for GTO to pounce. Great patience from GTO, I have to say. Good thinking on his feet as they are on the main straight right now, and it seems that Lenz is just a little too far behind to try and challenge. Oh, as... Whoa. My eyes were not lying. GTO was hovering somewhere in the middle of the circuit between the pit-in road and the main track, but ultimately he finds himself in the pits. It's all good. And Teovo also pits. So that's Teovo pitting from P3, GTO pitting from P4, and they are all in a fight with Vox Bacchus, who seems to be... Oh, but they're teleported a little to the front, so they're in that exit road right now. There's Vox and there's GTO. They're going to be very close to each other, Vox and GTO. Is Vox going to be able to clear GTO? Yes, he is. He pulls past GTO 250 in what is good news for Vox Bacchus. I mean, he would have been disappointed had he lost the position, having performed what is effectively an undercut. And now they are both on a fresh set of mediums, as is Teovo. So we've seen our first pit stops from the medium runners at around 20 minutes into the race. That suggests to me that they're on a two-stop, and they'll be stopping next time in another 20 minutes, just for just 3 identical 20-minute stints on the mediums. And our leaders are pitting as well. It's JiiRabbit and Funniest Cowboy. Will Lenz be jumping into the pits? Yes, he will. Mark in his Audi. Well, I don't think. He seems to be far enough away so that the leaders will still return on track ahead of him. So he won't be inheriting the lead, although that would have been great. But no, JiiRabbit is already making his way out of the pits. So him and Funniest Cowboy will certainly be ahead of Mark GT. Where is Lenz compared to his direct competitors? Vox is in the center S's, so it's going to be a fight. It's a drag race between the two of them, and the game says Lenz is already behind. And yes, he is. He is behind both Vox Bacchus and GTO. So Lenz doesn't win anything by staying out long, but he gives himself the advantage of fresher rubber later on in this stint. So it's as they were. JiiRabbit in first, Funniest Cowboy in second. Mark still hasn't pit, so he's a little out of sync. Then Teovo is in a net P3, Vox is in a net P4, GTO in P5, and Lenz in P6. It's exactly as they were before the pit stops. It all got quite juicy and spicy with wheel-to-wheel action at the end of the first stint, but now we go back to a more relaxed style of racing. I'm sure the drivers are going to come together once again as we approach the end of stint number 2. Oh boy. I was just about to say, let's take a look at Flapjack and check whether he has repaired his car. And he has, but for whatever reason, he was out exploring the grass. He's now in P8. Vlad is behind him in P9. And I wonder, I'm looking at the lap times, and there seems to be one lap for Vlad that was significantly longer. That might have been just his pit lap. So in that sense, I'm not sure if he's out of sync now or whether Flapjack is somehow out of sync, but on fuel they look similar, on tires they look similar. Maybe something happened to poor Vlad that we haven't caught on camera. Anyway, Flapjack is in P8, and he'll probably be hoping to overtake Mark GT once Mark pits. I'm wondering if Mark is doing a one-stop, because he's really extending these mediums, and his pace wasn't particularly great early on, so maybe the point was that he's trying to save his tires. Teovo is now pulling up to him, and Teovo will want to somehow navigate Mark without losing too much time, and God forbid, without damaging his car. Let's see whether he can do it. Mark brakes a lot earlier than you imagine Teovo needs to, and now Mark is pulling to the inside. I would interpret that as I'm going into the pits, and yeah, he does pull. Yeah, there he goes. He pulls into the pits. Look who's here. Look who's now close to Teovo once again. It's Vox Bacchus in the fight for third. So they're exactly as they were, and Vox has cleared Teovo once before, somehow. We haven't seen it on camera, but he has the opportunity to try and do it again. Let's check where Mark ends up relative to his direct competitors. Well, Flapjack is going to clear him, no questions asked. That's easy. Mark is also fueling up, which suggests to me that he might be on that one-stop. Oh, and he switches to the hards. This is a one-stop certainly for Mark GT, so he's a bit out of sync with everyone else. What is Vlive on, by the way? No, it's mediums, so he isn't trying the one-stop, but for whatever reason, he is in Mark GT's vicinity. So Mark has probably completed his strategy now, and it's just a straightforward drive for him all the way until the end, which is still 35 minutes away, so a lot can happen as he tries to traverse that distance. Right, in the lead, it's as they were. JiiRabbit from Funniest Cowboy. Teovo is being pressured by Vox Bacchus. This is probably the most captivating fight on track at the moment. Yeah, and I would be lying if I said that there was a fight between GTO and Lenz. I mean, Lenz's tires are noticeably fresher. I think he pit... GTO pit on lap 12 and Lenz pit on lap 13, so it's a lap's difference. It is a difference anyway, so maybe later in the stint Lenz will see it coming towards him and will be in a position to challenge for position. I'm using the same words. Thank you, Blazer. Glorious English skills, he says. Well, we didn't go to school for nothing, mate. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to GT Ukraine if you're new. Most of our content is, of course, in Ukrainian, but every 2 weeks we do these streams in English from the Asalit Design Endurance Championship. Today's race is a little less crowded than what we usually see, and for our Ukrainian viewers, instead of 2 Ukrainian drivers, we've only got 1 in Lenz, who is, I have to say, struggling a little bit. You get this impression that Lenz, at least championship logic-wise, should be somewhere around Teovo, over here in P3. They're locked in a fight. They're 4 points away from each other after 6 rounds, but Lenz, in an identical car in the Beetle, is not quite finding the same pace and the same consistency that Teovo has. I wonder if this is about dirty air and whether driving behind the GTO is upsetting Lenz's car. He is drawing closer, you have to give it to him. It's just 4 tenths between the two of them, and maybe if he can set himself up nicely somewhere, like here, for example. Oh, and GTO is being real defensive. He takes that inside line not to give Lenz any slipstream down the back straight, and for now it's fine, but you can feel that the pressure is mounting, and Lenz is looking. He's looking for an overtake. He's sniffing. There he is. I mean, if GTO takes a peek back, this is the look he gets. Lens is close, and of course he gets real close on apexes, but he needs to find a good place to overtake. The lobby is a little laggy tonight, I have to admit. Sometimes the cars move a little funny, and you're not sure where they are quite, but it's all good. We can still have a good race. Lens is now, I wanted to say that he was close, but actually the Renault pulls very well, and the gap grows from around 4/10 now to 7/10, and from this sort of distance you don't get to dream about overtaking. So it's as they were, and now the Beetle pulls up, and now the gap comes down. It went from 7/10 all the way back to less than 5, but the straight ends, and the opportunity is gone. So I feel we'll be seeing a lot of this tonight. Oh, as Teovo makes a mistake, I wonder if he kept enough of his car within track limits to avoid a penalty, and yeah, he seems to be fine. But Vox is doing fastest lap pace behind Teovo, so this battle is on. This is happening, and it seems like out of our 9 drivers, we get 4 little couples on track. There's JiiRabbit and Funniest Cowboy, then Teovo and Vox, GTO and Lens. There's only Flapjack, who is driving in Solitude, and there's Mark GT now, battling it out with Vlad, but they're on very different strategies, so this is a little artificial between the two of them, though I wonder if Vlad is going to be able to find a way past Mark. Does he know that he needs to find a way past Mark? Because Vlad's mediums are not getting younger. Meanwhile, Mark's hards, I mean, they're hards. They're just going to keep giving him about the same level of performance throughout. So Vlad probably needs to get a move on, as it's getting close. I mean, it's a second between these two. Oh, it's 2/10 here. Will Vox Bacchus go for a move? Yes, he does. Down the inside into the first corner. He overshoots it just a little bit, so he will be compromised here on the exit. Does Teovo get enough overspeed, and is there space? Oh, that door is always going to close, but now he pulls up on Vox, and he wants that inside. Is he entitled? Not quite. Oh, that's a lot of movement, and that's contact between Teovo and Vox Bacchus. Vox flies forward because of it, but Teovo doesn't complete the move, so it's as they were. But there you have it. You get your move. Vox Bacchus is past Teovo. Once again, the Genesis, as the tires fade away and as the stint progresses, Vox is just that much more confident and aggressive in his car and on his tires, although his fronts are a little worse. He has a little less fuel in the tank, so although he has been able to complete the move on track, once they pit, this might all go back the way of Teovo. Let's try and catch a replay of that move if we can. No, but we can catch a replay of the contact. Yeah, and there was a bit. I mean, I'm not sure if Vox braked a little earlier than normal, or if Teovo just simply didn't expect it, but it's all right. No damage between the two of them, no position gained, no real time lost, so it's fine. GTO is defending from Lens for P5, and well, what is this camera work, man? Let's go on board as Lens tries to dive up the inside into the second part of the center S's. That is not a place where you traditionally overtake, and they stay as they were, but it's really heating up. You see the impatience building up in Lens's body language. He wants to get it done. GTO is defending for his life, and you have to give it to him. He's been doing a great job so far. They are 16 seconds, almost 17 seconds behind the leaders, so it's between these two. P3 is still over there, within touching distance. You can still see it, but Lens must be starting to feel that he's losing time behind GTO, so he wants to get it done. Plus, the Beetle, as has been mentioned in the chat, has better top speed, so by the end of the straight, Lenz should be strong, should be in a good position to challenge. GTO doesn't get a great exit, but now Lenz has to lift. How are they going to do? Through the final corner, down to first. As he seems to get a good exit, let's go off board for now. 3 tenths, less than 3 tenths between them, 2 tenths between them. What is GTO gonna do? Is he gonna defend? Yes, he sends Lenz the long way around, but Lenz doesn't mind. He can pull out. He is ahead. GTO is still on the inside. He wants to take that apex. There's a bit of contact, and probably GTO will be best advised to not keep insisting and to just let it go. Lenz was ahead, and there's a bit of contact, so if GTO took that position back, that would probably not have been looked upon favorably. So that's how Lenz takes his position. Dramatic switching, but the ironic thing is that we've seen this before. In the first stint, this has already happened. Vox found a way past Teovo, Lenz found a way past GTO, but then after the pits, it all goes back to normal. And look at the difference in terms of fuel. GTO has easily over 25% fuel in his tank at this point, while for Lenz it's significantly less. So he will have to spend more time fueling up in the pits, and whatever he's gaining now, well, he needs to gain a lot more in order to try and compensate for that. Lenz seems to have been able to put a bit of distance between himself and GTO immediately after he completed the move, so he does have more pace, and the tires are still okay. There's still 5 minutes to go until we're down to 20 minutes, and until what I think the pit window opens. So now is the time for Lenz to put it down, pedal to the metal, try to build a gap at least to GTO, but then, you know, Teovo is not that far away from him, so at some point he might find himself stuck again in the dirty, suboptimal air of the Finn, who is, in his turn, stuck, to a certain extent, behind Vox Bacchus, whose tires are, I mean, out of this bunch here, Vox Bacchus, his front right is screaming of death, and he's rather low on fuel, although not as bad as Lenz. Teovo is doing okay on fuel and a little better on tires. Lenz, the best situation in terms of tires for him, but the worst in terms of fuel. GTO is somewhere in the middle. So between these four, I mean, as it stands, anyone could take P3, and to a certain extent, this is, of course, commentatorship and trying to cook up intrigue where there is none. But I sincerely believe that GTO, if it comes his way and if he plays it right, he could still take P3, or Vox Bacchus could take P3, or, you know, Lenz could take P3. Any one of these four could take P3. The battle for the lead, by the way, is still cooking. But we have to watch what Teovo is doing, because he's close to Vox Bacchus once again. Oh my god. I just had a heart attack there, and if this is what Teovo was seeing, I'm sure he's had a heart attack as well. What the hell? Anyway, they keep racing. He's close to Vox Bacchus now, real close. Will he try to go for a move? He's looking for that inside, but it's firmly covered. Vox moves several times on the straight. I wonder if that's all right, as Teovo is though extremely close. He's fully up against the rear bumper of Vox, but there's no way, there is just no way that he can make an overtake, and it seems that Teovo's connection out of these four is kind of the worst, because his car is jittering the most. But Lenz is now firmly on the back of Teovo, and if Teovo is a little impatient or not careful, then Lenz might be the one to capitalize and to slingshot by. I think this rear view camera is the best option we have for viewer experience at the moment. because we're getting to see the swarm of cars, the gaggle that is chasing Vox Bacchus, who is doing everything in his power to stay in P3 and to try and put some distance between himself and the chasing pack. Actually, he's done a good job of that right now, this lap. Teovo probably won't be challenging into turn 1. Yep, it's all good. And they keep fighting. It's 21 and a half minutes on the clock until this race is over. So still so much can happen. And we've got a comment from Gadget who says that the Genesis is probably the best of all for top speed, but it eats its tires. And you can tell, I think that is why Vox has been consistently able to find a way past Teovo. It's just the Genesis is that good on the straights, so where it matters, he can get in that slipstream, he can get close, he can close out the move. But yeah, as you're saying, the tire situation is not great on the Genesis. What Vox is playing at is that he can keep these guys behind, pit, and then hopefully find himself ahead of them once again. He will want a clean final stint where he doesn't need to waste tires and fuel finding his way past Teovo once again. As JiiRabbit pits, and interestingly, Funniest Cowboy doesn't. Funniest Cowboy stays out, so he's performing effectively an overcut, and he's done a slightly better job on fuel. Oh, as these guys are pitting as well. Vox Bacchus, Lens, GTO, they all pit. Teovo goes for the overcut. So the two Finlanders, teammates of Funniest Cowboy and Teovo, all doing the same thing, staying out while their immediate competitors pit. JiiRabbit fuels up to 45% in the tank, and this is another set of mediums until the end. Vox is fueling up as we speak. And, ooh, he goes a little bit deeper, 49% for him. GTO goes to 46. Lens is still fueling up, so Lens is going to find himself again last in this little group, while GTO propels himself very close to Vox Bacchus, and they are now locked in a fight with Teovo, who decided to stay out. I'm going to follow Teovo for now to see if he's going to pit this lap, as it would make sense, and then where exactly he will find himself once all the strategy plays out. Behind, Mark GT is on his hards doing the one-stop. Flapjack and Vlive behind him have just pit. So for Flapjack, this is going to be probably about trying to chase down Mark, who is on hards. He's 17 seconds up the road from Flapjack. That's Flapjack's objective until the end of the race. Right, Funniest Cowboy pits. He's in a battle with JiiRabbit. JiiRabbit is on the straight right now. Here he is. I mean, I would say that Funniest Cowboy is going to stay behind JiiRabbit, but let's see. They're going through the first corner in synchronization, but JiiRabbit is going to get more speed. Yeah, he'll be able to accelerate faster on the proper racing line, while Funniest Cowboy is accelerating here on this little slip road. So, as they were between the two leaders, what about Teovo? Teovo against Vox Bacchus. Now, this is going to be less clear-cut, because Teovo is a little bit further ahead. He's driving down the pit exit line, and there's Vox Bacchus. Ooh, let's go on board with Vox. He has the overspeed, so he will be chasing down Teovo, but no, Teovo stays in third, so it's bad news for Vox Bacchus. As I was saying, he would have hoped for a clean final stint, a stint where he doesn't have to solve the issue of overtaking Teovo, but he doesn't get that. He needs to do it the third time. Third time's the charm for Vox Bacchus. If he wants that P3, which would be his best result of the season, he still needs to put some work in. GTO is very close to these guys, and it is true, as tires become a factor at the end of each stint, his tires are quite okay by the end of the stint, so if he can stay close with these guys, he might actually be in a great position to challenge at the end of the race. Lenz, because of that fuel situation, has dropped away from the group. He is in P6, 4 seconds behind GTO, and he will be hoping that the guys ahead of him get into a scruffy fight, start losing time, and give him the opportunity to get himself back into the mix. Right, so I understand that is strategy done. Our strategies are completed, all the stops have been made, JiiRabbit is leading, and he's now a little bit away from Funniest Cowboy. This is no longer a tight battle. They're 4 seconds away from each other. Teovo is some 16 seconds behind Funniest Cowboy, and boy oh boy, these three, well 4 if you also throw in Lenz, they've been locked in battle since the very first lap. They literally haven't had a single calm lap in this race, and my condolences. I really sympathize with drivers who can't catch a break. I personally find it terribly disturbing when there's someone stuck to your rear bumper. I prefer it that the race kind of shakes out in the first couple of laps, and then you can just focus on your pace, get into a rhythm. Teovo, Vox, GTO, and Lance as well, they have not had the luxury of getting into a rhythm, unless they're really good and not as easy to put under pressure as myself, and they just don't mind, and they're able to push regardless. Right, behind them Mark is in P7. I apologize to Mark, Flapjack, and Vlive. If you guys end up watching the stream and feeling that I haven't showcased you enough, it's just because that fight for P3 is so intense. There's always something happening. So Mark, on his one-stop strategy, is now in P7. Flapjack has reduced the gap to 12 seconds. It was 17, I believe, after he pit. So this is a good rate at which he is catching Mark. If he keeps this up, then before the end of the race, he will be up to 7th place. Vlive is in P9 on the same strategy, on the same default strategy as everyone else, just 2 pit stops with mediums. He's 10 seconds behind Flapjack. Same quest as Flapjack. Try and catch Mark, who is on the hards and is obviously slower. It's a little too early, and commentators tend to jinx these things, but I won't deny myself the pleasure of saying that it seems like JiiRabbit is once again on course for a win, and with it, he will have the perfect result. 6 out of 6 wins in a single season. Just to remind you, although the season consists of 8 races, only the best 6 results for each driver contribute to their final tally. This is to account for your one-off race, or if you, for whatever reason, needed to skip a race. After all, we aren't professional drivers, we're all humans, and things can get in the way. And JiiRabbit right now, with this win, will have 6 wins. His 6 valid results will all be P1. That's an astounding performance from JiiRabbit this season. He's been untouchable. You have to give it to him. Funniest Cowboy, his compatriot, and just to remind you, promoted Tier 2 champion, currently in P5 in the championship, but if he scores this P2, which I mean, unless he makes a terrible mistake, he's got it in the bag. He will be improving his championship position significantly, because at the moment, his worst result is a P12. He'll be dropping that and replacing it with a P2. That will be significant, and I'm not great at math on the fly, but I'm pretty confident that this will put Funniest Cowboy into P3 as we head into the final race of the season. Oh yeah, and Gadget is reminding me that apart from everything that's happening in this championship itself, the promotions, our top finishers from Tier 2, which we don't broadcast, will be promoted into Tier 1. The worst finishers in Tier 1 will be dropping into Tier 2. There is also a one-off special event, the Driver's Room Hypercar Handicap Lottery. It's a whole thing, and make sure to tune in when we get to broadcasting that. But the top 8 in Tier 1 in this part of the championship will all be invited to participate in that. It's a fun little one-off. It takes a lot of time to set up. Involves hypercars as opposed to the type of race car that we use in Absolute Design Endurance Championship. So make sure to follow announcements, and we'll be letting you know what our plans for broadcasting that will be. So there's a lot to fight for, and for Teo as well, this P3 potentially could replace his worst result, could push out his worst result of 11th, but he still has some work to do. I mean, Vox, for now, you have to be real. He is dropping behind. Perhaps unlike what we saw in all the previous stints, Teuvo is doing a good job staying away from Vox. And Vox's tires are not looking their best. But still, the fight is on, and it's all to play for. How is Lenz doing? I mean, he's brought the gap down from 4 seconds to 3.5, but that isn't quite the rate at which he needs to be catching. For Lenz, his worst result this season is a P10, so even the P6 improves his situation, and maybe, just maybe, puts him out of reach for, well, not out of reach, but still keeps him in provisional P3. But the final race will be something to watch very closely. It's a super enduro, so unlike everything we've done before, all the races have been 60 minutes long. This one will be 90 minutes long, and I will be drinking all the tea in the world to try and preserve my voice as I keep screaming away for what will be a total of an hour and 50 minutes, if you also throw in qualifying and the introductions that we do. So it's going to be a fun little challenge, both for myself and for the drivers. Make sure to join us 2 weeks from now for the final race of Season 1 of the Absolute Design Endurance Championship in 2025. JiiRabbit is now just running away with it, 5.6 between him and Funniest Cowboy, but he doesn't get the privilege of fastest lap. That's with Funniest Cowboy, and for now, oh, I mean, he got close. Look at that, lap 31. It was a 132.4, just 16 thousandths behind Funniest Cowboy. That must be devastating. But I mean, JiiRabbit shouldn't be too sad about his performance tonight. He's done a stellar job, and who cares about that fastest lap? Funniest Cowboys in P2 doing a great job as well, as less than 10 minutes now remain until the end of the race. And you know what? Out of this 4 that we used to have, it seems like GTO is in a great position to try and challenge Vox Bacchus for P4. Now that would make headlines. If I were a reporter, I would I would write a feature story about this. GTO, just to remind you, 13th once, 12th 3 times, 11th once, is now seriously challenging for P4. I mean, GTO, if you watch this, no disrespect, mate, it's just that the previous results this season have not been quite astonishing, but this is a completely different quality of drive from GTO tonight. Really supporting, by the way, his teammate JiiRabbit for Team Motion Blur Yellow. Motion Blur Yellow are now second in the teams championship behind GT Ukraine, who had a great race last time out, as opposed to Motion Blur Yellow, who were only represented by JiiRabbit alone, and he finished 5th. So good job by GTO, and he is seriously putting the pressure on Vox Bacchus, which you have to say Vox is, for now, soaking up quite admirably. He's doing a good job. Has Flapjack? Yeah, Flapjack has found a way past Mark, who is on the hards, and it's almost 5 seconds between the two of them now, so he's got his objective complete, and now Vlad is trying to chase down Mark before the race is over. There's 5 seconds between them, 5 minutes, well, 6 minutes to go until the end of the race, so Vlad needs to be catching at a rate of almost a second per minute, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you, because it makes sense in my head. Well, for now, he seems to be doing a good job. Just while we've been following, the gap went down to 5.2 to now 4.2. So through the technical sections, it seems that Mark's hards, which are in a really poor state. So those hards are not giving him the traction, they are not giving him the turn-in, not giving him the grip. So Mark is struggling, and he seems set to actually end up in P9. After a rather audacious strategy, you have to say, a one-stop. The pit loss here is pretty large. It is said to be around 30 seconds. So I can see what Mark was trying to do, but then it seems that the old hards just really don't give you grip at all to try and keep the car in a decent, driving at a decent pace. It seems that as the race progressed through stint number 2 and especially stint number 3, JiiRabbit has been able to do just that little bit extra and pull away from Funniest Cowboy. It's almost 7 seconds is the gap between the two of them now, and I mean, JiiRabbit seems to be firmly in control. You have to give it to him. He's done a great job tonight. Teovo, there's still opportunity here. 7/10 between him and Vox Bacchus as we approach what are going to be the final laps of this race. It's 3:30 on the clock, and by the time they get to the end of this lap, there will probably be time for 2 more laps. So we're looking at 38 laps tonight. GTO seemed to be pretty close to Vox Bacchus, but he's now fallen away. I wonder, maybe Vox was playing with the fuel mixture a little bit, as he takes a very different line to Teovo and gives me a little scare there. Lenz has fallen off. He is not keeping up with the group ahead of him, so he seems now destined to take p6. How is Mark doing against Vlad? What a time to switch over to this battle. Vlad is on the inside. He's able to break a lot later than Mark, and that's how he takes p8 from Mark GT. Unfortunately, an audacious strategy that doesn't pay off in the end, and Mark is confined to last place. Let's go back to the fight for p3. This seems to be the most consequential, well, let's be honest, the only battle on track at the moment. Vox is 7/10 behind Teovo. So the big overtaking opportunities are at the end of the main straight into turn 1 and at the end of the back straight into turn 4, effectively, so this section that we've just navigated. So with the timer being where it is at the moment, Vox will have one more opportunity to try and set something up on the main straight, and then maybe challenge into turn 4. His front right is worse than Teovo's, but not by much, I would say, so they could be said to be on equal footing. GTO behind is not challenging, and we can go into an onboard camera with Vox Bacchus. That was a good exit. Teovo did something relatively weird with his final corner, and now Vox is pulling up, but the Beetle has good straight line speed. Only now is Vox Bacchus really catching up with the slipstream, and he will be too far to even think about a move into the first corner, but look how close he gets. He wants a good exit. He wants a good exit, and Teovo was probably playing to try and disrupt that good exit, and it actually feels like he has done enough to put Vox Bacchus on the wrong foot, going down the back straight and into turn number 4. Yep, it's fine, and I really don't think Vox... Well, I mean, Vox can still try and set up a drag race to the line, as we have 20 seconds on the clock right now. Where is JiiRabbit? JiiRabbit is just rounding out the final corners. No, even he will not get to start an extra lap. So this is the final lap for JiiRabbit, Funniest Cowboy, Teovo, and Vox Bacchus. We will witness P1 crossing the line as JiiRabbit takes another victory. P1 for him for the 6th time this season. A dominant performance from JiiRabbit, and well-deserved leader and winner at this point. We can be certain of the championship. Nobody's going to challenge him. Teovo seems to be far enough away from Vox to get this across the line in P3. He gives us the old blink of the headlights. Yep, and Vox finishes P4. Now for the 5th time this season, GTO brings in his best result of the season with a P5. Lenz finishes in a bit of an underwhelming P6, and we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait for some 45 seconds until Flapjack arrives. Mark has also finished already. He was a lap down, I understand. He might have purposefully taken his foot off the gas not to have to complete another lap, and Flapjack powers towards the line. It's been a bit of an unfortunate race for him tonight with that early bizarre incident that gave him damage and put him out of sync with everyone else, but still P7 for Flapjack is an improvement on his worst result of 10th this season, so he improves his points tally. Finally, it's Vlad who crosses the line in P8 and also improves on his worst result, so his worst result of P10 is now removed. And that was our race for tonight. Clean race and pole position for JiiRabbit, but no fastest lap, so he is denied a perfect race weekend. It's JiiRabbit from Funniest Cowboy from Teovo. We get a fully Finnish top 3 once again in this race. Vox Bacchus takes P4 once again. I mean, you have to feel for the guy. Really deserved. I wonder, I will need to ask, if Vox minded if a couple of these top 4s were converted into one top 3. GTO finishes 5th with his best result of the season. Great performance from him tonight. Lenz is 6th, Flapjack is 7th, Vlive is 8th, and Mark GT on a one-stop strategy rounds out the 9 competitors that we had participating in the race tonight. All right, that was the excitement of this evening. We will be finishing this broadcast. I've been your host and commentator, Prototype. This was brought to you by the GT Ukraine YouTube channel. Make sure to drop a like to this stream. Subscribe if you're new. If you feel like supporting your commentator financially, you can check out the link to the donation service in the description. This has been a great evening for me. I've enjoyed this thoroughly, and I hope you did too. Join me in 2 weeks for the final race of Season 1 in the Accelit Design Endurance Championship. Until then, take care, and as always, Slava Ukraini. Bye-bye.